The Manhattan City Commission approved a resolution last night establishing the downtown convention parking program for this year. Starting August 1st, the city will begin charging parking fees for the downtown garage. The action Tuesday will allocate transient guest tax money annually to cover parking for conventions held in downtown Manhattan through the end of 2028, as requested by the Chamber of Commerce's Convention and Visitors Bureau. This year, they will get $115,000 allocated to cover those costs. Commissioner John Mata weighing in on that last night.
Yeah, I like the idea of the CVB having responsibility for it and making the yes-no decision as part of their budget, because then they have to weigh, is it spending it on this better than going to some conference event where they're trying to bring in business or not? In a way, us paying for it kind of lets them off the hook of being responsible for Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Although the resolution passed unanimously, some on the commission noted they'd like to meet with the chamber officials next month to possibly amend the program going forward. Commissioner Karen McCullough was one of those.
I can see subsidizing this year because they've got contracts, but it seems to me that anybody who goes to a meeting where they're staying overnight is probably going to a convention and is not paying to go to that, and $5 extra to park in the garage. And if they park at the Hilton, they have to pay $10 to park in the parking lot. So I just really think this is unnecessary after the first year.
If a convention meets program requirements, transient guest tax funds will be granted to parking services to pay for those costs. The City of Manhattan has closed the application period for its city manager vacancy. Altogether, the city collected 44 applications from across the country as it looks to fill the position for the first time since the turn of the century after the April retirement of Ron Fear. He held the job for 24 years. Interim City Manager Jason Hilger says commissioners are targeting late July to hold interviews with potential finalists and targeting this fall for a new manager to be installed.
We'll consider the adoption of the budget in September. Both readings, both first reading and that first Tuesday, and then that third Tuesday is really the adoption of the ordinance for the budget. So as soon as the manager gets here, we'll probably have a budget adopted for 2025, bringing them up to speed from an operational standpoint.
Hilger's also detailed some of the process that lies ahead.
A lot of it will be really contingent on where the commission ultimately decides who to hire and what objectives and goals they'd like them to accomplish. We tend to see new hires throughout the industry in this level of position look for, a 3 to 5 year window.
The city's Parks and Rec Advisory Board voted 5-2 Monday to send a recommendation to the City Commission on the Move MHK plan that'll be considered June 18th. The commission was somewhat divided on the plan, which also involves a concept for indoor aquatics. There's also precedent with plans like this failing, as it did in 2008, according to former board member Ed Klimek, who voted to send the recommendation to the city, but also offered some advice on how to gather up community support.
I think we need to take advantage of time, not push this so quickly, and get the answers out to the community so they can support this thing. That's how you build community resolvency, and we make this community what Manhattan's all about.
Others, though, weren't quite as supportive, noting the city could face serious financial complications if the plan fails, including board member Joe Knopp.
If the city commission thinks it's a good idea for all these pools, all these amenities that's going to attract all these people to come in and see our town, we trust them. Problem is that when it doesn't turn out, we're left holding the bag.
A Florida woman has been taken into custody in connection to alleged election fraud here in Kansas. According to a Tuesday release from Kansas Attorney General Chris Kobach's office, Nebraska authorities arrested 47-year-old Jamie Johnson of Dade City, Florida on May 29th for forging signatures on petitions to make no labels an officially recognized political party here in Kansas. The allegations were reviewed by the Secretary of State's office before the case was forwarded on to the Attorney General. Johnson is charged with multiple counts of election fraud in Johnson County District Court, including one of election perjury and 18 counts of election forgery. As of yesterday, Johnson was still detained in Nebraska awaiting extradition to Kansas. The Pottawatomie County Commission will hold off on a road agreement with a quarry after concerns were raised Monday by citizens regarding the 10 cents per ton of aggregates sold that Mid-States Materials would pay to the county. That funding would be used for maintenance of the designated haul route from the quarry and for Wheaton Road. Citizens were concerned the agreed-upon sum doesn't account for inflation, something Commissioner Greg Wright says he's also fielded concerns on.
I thought when we talked a couple of weeks ago or last week that the 10 cents, that should be something that's revisited every so often. And I think about the landfill, and I believe it's Ham's Quarry, that kind of hit us in the dark, and now they have automatic raises, and so it just seems like it's only fair if we have the ability to, whether we annually or whatever, review this.
County Administrator Chad Kinsley agreed that renegotiating could be incorporated into the agreement, but says that should involve County Councilor John Watt, who was absent Monday.
If there was something like that, John's going to have to come up with wording, but I think it could be in this agreement. But it doesn't have to be. It could be CUP, which I think is a better idea anyhow, instead of picking on one quarry standard. So every person wants to come into county, they know they're going to be required to pay X amount per
It
ton.
could be.
Commissioners couldn't reach consensus Monday, so the issue will be looked at again in 2 weeks. And with the fields now set for local races, one organization is planning to host a series of candidate forums in Pottawatomie County this summer. EcoDiva Director Shannon Goodman says the first of 2 opportunities are coming later this month in Wamego and St. George.
So on June 13th, we'll be at Ironclad from 6 to 8 p.m., and June 18th will be in St. George at the Lighthouse Baptist Church from 6 to 8 p.m.
She says it'll be a good opportunity for voters to get informed, especially given the expanding county commission. Additional forums are scheduled July 1st in Westmoreland, July 11th in St. Mary's, and July 15th in Onega. All forums will run 6 to 8 p.m. and will be moderated by former Manhattan Broadcasting General Manager Corey Reeves.
Good morning, I'm Troy Coverdale with your sports headlines. K-State has landed the top-rated big man in the men's basketball transfer portal. Ugana Onyensu committed to the Wildcats and Coach Jerome Tang yesterday, preparing to transfer from Kentucky. The 7-footer played only 19 minutes a game this past season at UK, though, averaging 4 points, 5 boards, and 3 blocks a game. He has 2 years eligibility remaining. Game times for the Super Regional between K-State and Virginia in Charlottesville this weekend are locked in. The first of the best-of-3 set for Friday at 6.
I think we'll leave it with Owen and Wentworth, and then we'll probably go TBA for Game 3. If we need to use Ty in a high-leverage situation on Friday or Saturday, we'll do that. So I think it's safe to leave that Sunday game TBA.
The redshirt junior, limited by injuries throughout the season, boosted the Cats into the Super Regionals by winning Sunday night's matchup against SEMO. Saturday's game is set for a 2 o'clock start in Charlottesville. Coverage of the games this weekend on News Radio KMAN. Bobby Witt Jr.'s throwing error led to Cleveland scoring 3 runs on an infield grounder in the 7th. The Guardians got an 8-5 win over the Royals in a matchup of the AL Central's top 2 teams. Witt clobbered a pair of homers, including the one that built the lead to 5-0 for Kansas City in the 4th, but then had the miscue that gave the Guardians the victory and allowed them to open their division lead over the Royals to 5. Same 2 teams tonight with coverage beginning at 5, first pitch at 5:40 on News Radio KMAN. Have a great day. I'm Troy Coverdale.